Before everything fell apart, before the police lights, the frozen bank accounts, and the quiet whisper of handcuffs behind closed doors, there was love. Or at least, what both of them believed was love. This is the story of Daniel O'Kay and Miriam Asala, two people who crossed paths by accident, but spiraled into betrayal on purpose. A story where passion became partnership, where partnership became power, and where power became a weapon. And in the end, justice was served, but not in the way anyone expected. Daniel O'Kay was the kind of man who carried his entire world on his shoulders. 35, stable job, quiet life, no drama. He didn't talk much, but when he did, he spoke with warmth. To his colleagues at the small logistics firm, Daniel was the dependable one, the guy who stayed late when everyone else went home, the one who would lend you money even before you finished explaining why you needed it. In short, Daniel was good. Too good. And that was precisely the kind of goodness Miriam knew how to use. Miriam Asala entered Daniel's life with the force of a sunrise, bright, sudden, impossible to ignore. She was everything he wasn't, loud where he was quiet, bold where he was careful, reckless where he was steady. She walked into the office one afternoon to inquire about a delivery contract. Daniel was at the front desk, their eyes met, and something inside him, something fragile, opened. She smiled, he stuttered, and just like that, something began. To friends, they looked like an odd pair. To Daniel, she was the first person who truly saw him. And to Miriam, Daniel was an opportunity. 3 months into their relationship, Miriam made a confession. She'd been planning to start a business, a luxury cosmetics line. She had everything mapped out: suppliers, branding, storefront, marketing, but she lacked one thing: capital. Daniel listened with the kind of devotion that blinds a man to danger. He wanted to help. He needed to help. So when she suggested they become partners, when she asked if they could combine finances, when she proposed he invested in the business in exchange for 50% silent partnership, Daniel didn't hesitate. He invested $28,000, his savings, his inheritance, his security. And that word silent, he knew it meant he wouldn't be involved in day-to-day operations, but he didn't realize it also meant he wouldn't have a voice, a vote, or even visibility. Miriam made sure of that. At first, everything seemed perfect. The business launched beautifully, sales grew, their relationship felt stronger than ever. But slowly, quietly, the changes began. Miriam became distant. She guarded her phone like it held her life. She avoided conversations about the business. She insisted everything was fine. Too fine. Daniel noticed. He worried. But love, real love, or the illusion of it, has a strange way of making people second-guess their own instincts. One evening while Miriam showered, a message flashed on her screen. Make sure he signs the last document by Friday. Once it's done, he can't claim anything. Daniel stared at the message. A coldness crept up his spine. Something wasn't right. Something was very wrong. But before he could think further, Miriam walked back into the room, smiling, warm, soft. The woman he loved, the woman he trusted. He put the phone down and pretended he saw nothing. The turning point came unexpectedly. Miriam told Daniel she needed him to sign a, quote, routine compliance form for the business. It looked legitimate, it looked simple, but Daniel's hands shook as he held the paper. His mind replayed that message. He remembered the secrecy, the distance, the lies she tried to hide in plain sight. Something inside him, something old, something wounded, something tired, snapped awake. "Can I take this to my lawyer?" he asked calmly. The smile left Miriam's face faster than a flame meeting water. She demanded, Why do you need a lawyer? No softness, no charm, just anger, raw, exposed, uncontrolled. Daniel saw something he had refused to see for months. This woman wasn't afraid of losing him. She was afraid of losing control. He folded the paper, placed it in his pocket, and said the first no of their relationship. In that moment, everything changed. 2 days later, Daniel received a call from the bank. His accounts frozen, his savings drained, his investments redirected, all connected to the business account he shared with Miriam. Panic hit him like a wave. He rushed to the store, lights off, doors locked, inventory gone. She had disappeared. Miriam Asala, the woman he loved, was gone with everything. Until that day, no one had ever seen Daniel angry. No one had seen him broken. But that afternoon, in front of the empty store, he made a decision. If she wanted him to be the silent partner, he would no longer be silent. The investigation began the next morning. Fraud, forgery, identity manipulation. Miriam had done it all before, in 3 different states. She wasn't her first victim. She was simply her biggest. The police worked quickly. Within a week, they found her hiding in a short-let apartment under a false name. When they arrested her, she didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't even resist. She just stared at Daniel, calm and cold, and whispered, "You think this ends with me in handcuffs?" Daniel felt a chill he couldn't explain, but justice, for now, had been served. Or so everyone thought. A month later, Daniel finally tried to rebuild his life. New job, therapy, distance from everything that reminded him of her, until one evening, he received a letter. No stamp, no return address, just his name. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a bank transaction receipt showing a transfer of $8,700 from the business account. The date? 3 days after Miriam's arrest. At the bottom of the page, a message typed in bold, "You caught the wrong partner." Daniel froze. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Because if Miriam was in custody when the money moved, that meant someone else had access. Someone close. Someone he never suspected. Someone who was still out there, watching him. And suddenly, he understood her final words. This wasn't over. Not even close. The one who loved her too much. If you thought Miriam's betrayal was the end of the story, it wasn't even the beginning. Because in every crime of passion, there is always someone watching quietly from the shadows. Someone who thinks they're doing the right thing. Someone who believes love is enough reason to destroy a life. And for Daniel Hart, that someone had a name. Elias Ward. Elias and Miriam met 3 years before she met Daniel. He was gentle, brilliant, soft-spoken, the type of man who blended into every room. Never loud, never demanding, but always watching. He adored Miriam in silence. Every breakup, every heartbreak, he was there, just being a friend. But love unspoken does not fade. It ferments. And when Miriam met Daniel, confident, kind, stable Daniel, Elias knew he had already lost. Yet, he didn't step back. He stepped closer. At first, it was little things. Little comments delivered with a sympathetic smile. "Daniel works too much. He doesn't see you the way I do. He doesn't understand your dreams." Miriam denied it, of course, but seeds grow in silence, and Elias kept watering them. When Miriam started her business with Daniel's money, when she realized she couldn't pay him back, when fear turned into desperation, Elias stepped in with an offer. "Let me handle everything. You won't lose him. I'll fix this." But what Miriam didn't know was that Elias never planned on fixing anything. He planned on removing Daniel so he could finally have her to himself. Elias was the one who created the fake invoices Miriam signed. He guided her on how to borrow from Daniel's investments. He arranged every transfer, every account, every cover-up. Miriam believed he was helping her, but every move he made was designed to point the blame at her when everything fell apart. Because if Daniel hated her, if her life collapsed, if she had nowhere to go, who would she run to? Elias Ward, her quiet savior, her real soulmate. Or at least that's how he imagined it. Love? Obsession? Who can tell the difference when you're drowning in both?
In the courtroom, Daniel tried to convince the police that Miriam wasn't the mastermind. But no one listened. Not until Daniel did something desperate. He broke into her old email account, searching for proof she didn't know what she was signing. What he found instead froze his blood. Hundreds of messages, all from the same person, all with the same tone, controlling, comforting, obsessive. Elias Ward. One message stood above the rest. When this is over, you'll finally see who truly loves you, and he won't be in your way anymore. He, Daniel realized, meant him. Daniel tracked Elias down at a quiet cafe outside town. Elias didn't flinch when Daniel sat across from him. He didn't deny anything. He didn't apologize. He only said one thing. You were never supposed to get hurt. You were just supposed to leave. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Leave? He asked. Elias smiled, a soft, melancholy smile. The smile of a man who fully believes he's the victim of his own story. You had everything, he whispered. The life, the career, the love of a woman who was too good for you. All I wanted was a chance. A pause. And you ruined it. Daniel recorded the entire conversation on his phone. The confession, the manipulation, the subtle threats. But when he played the recording for the police, Elias was gone. No forwarding address, no bank trail, no last sightings. Just vanished, like a ghost stepping out of the frame. And Miriam? She finally understood the horrible truth. She wasn't Daniel's enemy. She was Elias's possession. And she never even knew it. She wept for Daniel. She wept for herself. But most of all, she wept because she realized the person who claimed to love her was the one who had destroyed everything. With Elias missing, the case was left in a limbo of unanswered questions. Miriam was placed under protective watch. Daniel rebuilt his reputation slowly, painfully. But late one night, weeks after Elias vanished, Daniel received a letter. No return address, no name. Just one sentence. You still don't deserve her. Attached was a blurry photograph. Miriam, sleeping, in her new apartment. Someone had taken it through the window. Daniel felt his heart stop. Elias wasn't running. He was circling, waiting, watching. And the worst part? He was still in love. To be continued.